Welcome to this presentation of the Rotary Club of North Bethesda, Maryland, USA. Our club was established in 1974. We meet every Friday morning at 7:45 a.m., and we often invite guest speakers to give presentations on all kinds of interesting subjects. Please contact us through our website at nbrotary.org. And thanks for watching.
So now we can introduce our speaker, Linda. I think
Yes.
introduce our
Yes.
today.
I'm very happy that Greg and Jan were willing to come and speak to us today. We've had our water project in India, and I, for many years, volunteered for Water for People, so I'm especially eager to hear their talk. A brief introduction. Greg holds a BS from Villanova in chemical engineering and an MS from University of Rochester in materials science. And Jan has her degrees from Grove City College and an MBA from the University of Pittsburgh and an MA in mathematics education from Webster. They worked for Mobil Chemical in New York, right outside of Rochester. And Greg was in an engineering capacity and Jan in finance. And after their corporate life, they owned a business making plastic bags that was in St. Louis. And then they retired in 91, raised their 3 daughters, and made a life giving back. And what they're going to be speaking to us about today is the work that they're doing, bringing safe water to those in need. And they'll explain the organizations that they work with. So if you want to share your PowerPoint now.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. We're happy to be here. This is about Water Mission, which is a charity out of Charleston, South Carolina. We've been involved with other water projects, but today we're talking about Water Mission. So we'll start the slideshow.
There you go.
Okay, this is the Guatemala City airport slums, as the slide says, and this was sort of what planted the seed of working with water in the developing world. Greg and I were in an airplane in the middle 90s, and we stopped at Guatemala City, and Greg and I looked out the airplane windows and we saw something like this. And we both said, wow, poverty in the United States doesn't look like what I'm seeing out of this window. It was so much more impoverished, really. And that view out the airplane window really is what planted the seed in our brains in the middle 90s that life in the developing world was a lot different than anything we had ever seen in the United States, because we had never been to the developing world. So
water builds life.
Let me just stop this for a minute. But this is Water Mission's sort of intro to what they do and why they do it. And we thought maybe it'd be a good beginning place.
It builds health, opening doors to education and livelihoods. Water builds hope. It gives families and communities opportunities to thrive. But more than 2 billion people lack access to this essential, life-giving resource. So, we began a mission to love others and honor God by bringing safe and living water to those without. A mission that started with a single sip, now continues because of people like you. Together, we transform lives around the world. We seek to serve with excellence, building safe water solutions that stand the test of time. With integrity, accountable to those who come alongside us in hope. And always with love for those we serve. At Water Mission, we build safe water solutions because water builds life.
It's important to note that the 2.2 billion people that is lacking safe water is a third of the world. So, you know, it's hard to imagine that a third of the people in the world they not only don't have a tap in their house, they don't even have access within 3-4 hours walking to get that safe water. And, you know, certainly if you're drinking contaminated water, nothing is going to go well in your life, like nothing. So, you know, Water Mission has a message of hope that, and they are bringing safe water to 7 million people in the world. They have access, but it's important to notice this slide talks about how many people die of water-related illnesses. So like while we're talking, 50 or 60 people have died of cholera, diarrhea, other waterborne illnesses that are so important. So this is about saving lives, really, is what it's about. Okay, and this is the George and Molly Green, whose photo's down there. Greg and I had the privilege of meeting them. Water Mission is like a 21-year-old organization, and we've been involved for like, I don't know, 16, 17 years of their, so we feel like we know them quite well because, like I said, we had the opportunity of meeting George and Molly Green, who actually had a water testing company in Charleston. And so they've had a water background like kind of forever. And it's the highest rating for Charity Navigator, and they've had that 4-star rating for 15 of their years. So they're very well run, very. Okay, now we're going to listen to Molly Green and her story.
In 1998, when Hurricane Mitch hit, we felt like we needed to respond. And so George, my husband, sent an email to the Bishop of Honduras. And the next day, there was an email that said, we need 6 drinking water systems. George just said, look, water treatment's not rocket science. We'll design our own. And he got a yellow pad, sat at his table, got out a couple of textbooks. Within a couple of hours, he'd sketched out a design, put together a prototype. It was tested, it worked. In 2 days, we were ready to send 6 drinking water systems to Honduras. So we cleaned up the water, the system, the water was flowing. It was amazingly clean, crystal clear. And no one in the community would come to drink the water. And George and I looked at each other and said, oh man, we have to drink the water. All I can say is it had better work. We drink the water, and as soon as we drink the water, the community starts coming forward to gather water. The pastor in the community said, these people are a gift from the Lord. We had no clue there was even a global water crisis. And God put it on our hearts that this is where He wants us to spend the rest of our lives.
So as you can see from that, Water Mission's beginning was in disaster relief. I mean, they've gone far beyond that, but they're one of the premier people for disaster relief. This slide is showing all the different areas in which Water Mission works. Safe water is the one we've talked about. Sanitation is a very important part of the whole safe hygiene solution, and actually more people don't have access to adequate toilet facilities than safe water. So if there's a third of the people not having safe waters, like half the people in the world don't have adequate toilets to use. There, and actually, maybe I'll tell a little story. A very important part of how water mission works is creating lasting solutions, sustainable solutions. And this year, early in the year, they went to one of the original facilities that they put in Honduras, because that's the country where they actually first started. And they went back to a 20-year-old facility that they installed in Honduras. And lo and behold, they discovered it was still working.
Wow.
And the people were using it. They had actually lost track of of the water mission, but that's okay. I mean, the important thing was that living water treatment system was still working and still being operated and still bringing safe water to the people in Honduras. So I mean, that's part of their DNA, is creating solutions that aren't just once and done, but they are lasting. Very important part of who they are. Okay, so yeah, we talked about disaster response, and that was their beginning. And the United Nations, the United Nations actually asked for water mission help. We'll talk about that, like the next slide, I think, is Ukraine. Okay, there's where they work, and the green tags are where they have staff. And those yellow dots are where they have worked, often in conjunction with another water charity. So they regard, quote, competitors as partners. So they, as you would expect, the map is pretty much developing world countries, as you would expect. Okay, now this is pictures of people getting water in Ukraine. And as I said, they are very well known in circles about disaster response. So the United Nations High Commission on Refugees asked for their help in Ukraine. And they have been partnering with other charities in neighboring countries to the, 5 or 6 million people who have fled Ukraine. And they're actually also working inside Ukraine, bringing safe water. I know they did a hospital inside Ukraine, bringing them safe water, because obviously municipal water systems aren't working. They're not working too well inside Ukraine. So they're working, like I said, both in neighboring countries and actually inside Ukraine. Okay, here's just some numbers for, projects that they have done. And there's the 7 million people. They build latrines. These are just some numbers that give you an idea of the scope. Okay, now, sustainability, as I said, is a very important part. They realize that they don't want to come in and do solutions, walk away and find out in 2 years it's broken. So, it requires a lot of work with local leadership to make sure that when they leave, somebody knows how to operate it and is operating, and the funding is in place. So, most people, in most situations, people do buy the water, they pay for it, so that there is an income stream of how to maintain this project. And there's just somebody getting, I mean, people don't have taps in their houses. They have a tap stand.
This area of Kenya is Maasai. It's a specific subculture within Kenya, but what you find when you get to know them, and particularly in Nairobi and Kapisa in this area, is a very tight-knit, warm community. In Nairobi, where we first became connected, they really didn't have a water source. The only water source they had was seasonal. And basically what happened was some people in the community dug a pit. They dug a hole in the ground that rainfall ran off into. So the problem is you have a lot of bacteria. So there are times of the year when diseases like cholera, typhoid, serious diseases that have to do with drinking water, contaminated water. Well, that's a seasonal water source in Narrabo, and then months of the year where it just goes away. So when it goes away, they have to come the 4 miles through this mountain and following passes to get to the water source that is in Kapisa. And it's the same thing as that pit, just bigger. So we have been here many times to look at possible solutions to get water. And what we wanted to do was to drill a well. So we drilled 1,000 feet, which is very deep, and it came up dry. At that point that we thought that God was leading us to not just consider a safe water solution for Narrabo, but also to people of Kapisa and the other communities that are in between those communities. So we put a pump in the impoundment where we had designed a system to take the groundwater and treat it. We're taking that water and pumping it to a pre-treatment basin, and we're adding a chemical called alum at the inflow to the basin, so that as the water moves, it takes several hours to go through the length of the basin. So as it moves through the basin, what happens is the material, the sediment, the solids in the water, they join together and then they settle to the bottom and the water becomes clear. Once we have the water clear, we pump it up to a filtration system. So we put it through a 3-stage filter, make sure all of the large organisms and any remaining sediment is removed. And then we add chlorine. Chlorine kills any bacteria that remain in the water. So now we have water that's clear and safe. Anybody can drink it. It's the same kind of treatment methodology process that's used in Western countries and in the United States. So once it's treated, we pump it up to storage tanks at the top of the highest point in this region. And from there, we flow through about 10 kilometers, which is 6 to 7 miles of pipe, to 2 communities, Kapisa to the north and Narrabo to the southeast. So now we're delivering water from this pond, which originally is very muddy and contaminated, that's absolutely clear and safe. First time in the history of this area, they have had safe water to drink. Walk into a village anywhere in East Africa, Kenya, in this area, and one of the first things that's going to happen is children are going to come running. They're going to come running because they're so curious. They're beautiful children. They're just like children in America, except that these children drink water that makes them very sick and kills them. And so when you're standing in a community and there are hundreds of children that are all around looking at you, and you know that if nothing is done in 12 months, some of those children are not going to be there. So the situation drives you, it compels you, because you know we can fix this. Working with them, working with the community, partnering with them, we can change this.
Greg and I really like that video because we feel like it really shows the work that they do, and this of course is not disaster relief, this is the community development part of their work. But we actually had the narrator of that, we've had the opportunity of meeting many years ago in Charleston. So anyway, we love that video. I hope you liked it. We did a little research on Rotary and their involvement in in water, and found this slide and said, wow, Water Mission touches all the areas of focus of Rotary International. It's a really natural marriage between Rotary and Water Mission, and there's actually a pretty long history of cooperation.
A single act of good can go a long way. It can cross oceans, cure disease, and create equality. As members of Rotary, we are people of action, and our actions have the power to speak loud and clear. We're changing lives and creating opportunities through our groundbreaking work in clean water, sanitation, and hygiene. Our global grants help communities create and maintain water resources close to home, because when clean water is within a child's grasp, so is a safe and promising future. We're committed to supporting sanitation projects that meet the needs of women and girls. Our programs provide modern facilities and hygiene training to cultivate long-term health and wellness. From safe access to water to private toilets and programs to teach healthy habits, we're working in homes, clinics, and schools to help families live healthy lives. Rotary Club members unite to create a world where water, sanitation, and hygiene are cornerstones of self-confidence and dignity, well within the reach of families who need it most. With more than a century of experience in service, Rotary is uniquely positioned to meet the challenges of today and fulfill the promise of a peaceful, healthy tomorrow. Your contribution to the Rotary Foundation keeps families connected to a world of good. Every gift is an action that speaks volumes across classrooms, communities, and continents. Learn how you can support the cause that means the most to you.
Yeah, Greg found that video you just watched, and it's amazing. I mean, that video could have been
A
made
single
by
act
Water
of good
Mission.
can go a long way.
Huh. Well, I can't get out of this.
Oh. So anyway, it was amazing how compatible Rotary's view and Water Mission's view is.
Huh. Not sure what's going on here.
Sanitation and hygiene.
Oh.
Our global grants help
Sorry about the
communities
technical
create and
problem.
maintain water resources close to home, because
Let's try this. Let's try this. There you go.
There you go. Sorry about that. We got in a loop there.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, founder and CEO of Lumi, the aluminum-free deodorant for everyone's everything. We're talking armpits, lady bits, under the testicles, the chesticles, the butt cracks, and sweaty backs.
A good diversion.
Okay, so this slide is showing that was pretty funny. This slideshow is showing the partnership that has already been created between Water Mission and Rotary. You know, as you can see, there's a lot of money involved, and 13 countries is an impressive number of countries. So, you know, there's already an existing partnership is the message here. Okay, so this is our last slide, and we like to think that together, Rotary and Water Mission, we can create a future story for those children, that they can grow up drinking safe water and not have the health consequences or even perish because of water problems. So anyway, we're happy to share the marriage story between Rotary and Water Mission. So that's the end of our slideshow. I don't know if there's questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is, in Ukraine or in a war zone, how do they bring water to people? What is the engineering? What do you do?
Well, they have their original system. They call it the living water treatment system. And their original system that they referred to going to Honduras with. It's a fairly portable water system, like it can be put in the back of a pickup truck.
Okay.
So, you know, they're obviously not installing a treatment facility like they talked about in Kenya. They're talking about a portable water treatment system. So they build these units in Charleston. Volunteers build them in Charleston, and they have sent, at least a half a dozen, and it's probably maybe more like 10 of these portable water treatment systems into Ukraine. And they work with a Ukrainian partner that I'm sure, I don't know that they could do the work without a Ukrainian charity to guide them on, obviously placement is extremely important.
Yeah.
It is a war zone.
Exactly.
So they rely heavily, I'm sure, on their Ukrainian charity. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a question. Does the organization that you're involved with work with local clubs, Rotary clubs, either in the United States or in some of the remote areas you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How does that work?
I'm not knowledgeable about which clubs, but I'm not familiar with Rotary Foundation, but apparently Rotary Foundation, from the slide we were showing, is one of the main venues that Rotary and Water Mission connect.
Yeah, typically though, they work through local clubs, so I'm kind of interested in that.
If I can interrupt, it is still past 8:30. We do have to a firm stop here. We can continue talking among yourselves if you like. And Victoria, I know I have a question, but the meeting will be officially over, and you can continue talking, however, but some people have to leave. So
Great. Very interesting. Thank you.